This is the first page. The disclaimer page will be the first page that you receive via email from us. Once we've responded to your data collection form, just as a recap, you've done your phone call, you've collected your data on the data collection form, you've faxed or emailed that to us, you've given us up to 3 business days on a standard account that is legible and all information is prepared properly, we will prepare this document for you and get it back into your hands so that you can go out and make the report presentation, whether you're doing that in person or a Join.me similar to this, however you're going to do your business. So the first page is the disclaimer. And basically on the first page, we don't read all of this, but the 3 basic pieces of information that I want to relay to the federal employee is that we've prepared this report based on the information that they have provided to us. Occasionally, they may not have a TSP statement. They'll give you a roundabout figure, and so it's our job to reiterate based on the information provided to us. And obviously, OPM, Office of Personnel Management, is going to overrule our report. And this report is an estimate. And I generate, if they've been a little light with the material, junk in, junk out. And we like to have the best, most accurate report. So taking the time to provide us that excellent information is what we're looking for. Let's go to the summary page, if we could, Joy. Be the next page. One more. The summary page is the overview or the layout, you might say, as to how your presentation of the report is going to go. And so I say we're going to hit these topics in general. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have along the way. If I don't have the answer for you, Mr. Federal Employee, I'll jot a note and I'll be sure to get back to you. We've got resources that I can go to get those answers. May take a little time. Please be patient, but I will get back with you. So we want to start right into the personal section of the report. We're going to go over their name, their date of birth, and age, just to make sure that there hasn't been any clerical errors, and we want this to be spot on as possible. Under the employment section, we're utilizing the service computation date of 2/9/1991, and so we'll verify with them that that's correct. In our example, we're using $81,175,000 of salary, and we've built in an annual salary increase of 0.5%. We realize that they haven't experienced cost of living adjustments in the last several years, but we're making an assumption in this estimate that they won't be on a pay freeze forever. This particular sample, 22 years, 8 months credible service, and sick leave of 8 months. The sick leave is an area where you can build some credibility as an experienced advisor or consultant from the standpoint that as they accumulate sick time, they're actually building an opportunity to increase their first survivor annuity payment in retirement. So if you've got a federal employee with quite a long tenure and a little saved sick time, we want to ask a question similar to, gosh, it looks like you've been with the government 20 plus years and you don't have a tremendous amount of sick time. Was there a family member or a person that you had to assist with that, you know, the reason you had to give up all your sick time? And just kind of let them talk. You'll find out if they've had cancer or a battle or were taking care of a parent or a child. And if they're newer in their career and they don't have a lot of sick time built up, we want to have the conversation with them that, do you realize by accumulating some sick time, I don't know what's going on with your sick time, but if you accumulate sick time, you are not going to get to retirement faster, but you will increase your FERS annuity payout in retirement. And most federal employees do not realize that accumulating sick time increases their retirement income. So that is an area that you can bring to their attention and get one of those, oh, I didn't know that. The next area is we're verifying that they're a FERS regular employee, that their planned retirement date is 2/8/2021. Their annual salary at that time with a 0.5% increase would be $84,479. And their average high 3 salary, which is what they base their retirement annuity on, is $83,686. We're using an annual cost of living adjustment of 1.75% in our estimate. This particular individual has 30 years credible service, 1 year of sick leave. They'll be age 57 when they retire, and service age and requirements will have been met. Now, the next area is the monthly retirement annuity area. We run these reports if they're married at 50% unless you tell us differently. So we run it at the high point. The 3 choices for your information on a FERS retirement annuity are 0% survivor, 25% survivor, and 50% survivor annuity. When you ask a federal employee what were they thinking about as far as the percentage of the retirement annuity, they will almost always tell you 50%. The questions that you're going to need to ask at this area are pretty important because the spousal survivor annuity, they must elect a minimum of 25% of the annuity to ensure that their spouse, if they should pass first, could keep the FEHB. So one of the first questions that I'm going to ask at this section of the report is it important that you maintain your FEHB moving into retirement for your spouse? And if they say yes, I'm making a note on my copy that that's important, and so they're going to have to take at least a 25%, if not 50% survivor annuity to maintain FEHB. They don't always know that. They also have to be on the FEHB themselves a full 5 years prior to retirement. So we'll start in with the 50% annuity. Your annuity without survivor would be $2,162. Your annuity with survivor, $1,946. Your survivor annuity, should you pass first, would be $1,081. And the cost to provide this maybe benefit is $216 at the starting point of retirement. Now, as the annuity increases, so does the cost increase. And so we want to ask them, did you realize there was a cost affiliated with providing this benefit? And most of them will tell you no. The second question I will ask is, have you thought about a 25% annuity versus a 50%, trying to learn their take on the annuity and what they're intending this part of their retirement income stream to look like? If they say, well, I hadn't really thought about it, what does a 25% annuity look like for me? You do not have to get nervous and say that we have to run a whole new report at this point. We can give them a generalized estimate. And the way that we give them a generalized estimate, we take the cost of the survivor annuity, the $216, and we divide that by 2. That gives us $108. And we divide the survivor annuity, the $1,081. We divide that by 2. The 25% annuity would then pay out $540.50. But yet we have to add back the $108 to the $1,946 to give us a $2,054 annuity. That would be the 25% annuity. So you can give them a ballpark and carry on a conversation. If they're leading down the path to the 25%, you certainly can rerun the report for them, but you've got those quick numbers for conversation. We'll then hit the TSP, which is their thrift savings plan for many retirees out of the federal government. This is their only retirement account. Currently, this individual is contributing on an annual basis $7,823.68. The government is matching $4,057.92. And so we've got the assets dispersed quite equally over many funds. We do know that the government matches dollar for dollar on the 3 first percentage points and 50 cents on the dollar for the 4th and 5th percentage to get them to a 5% match. And the second area that I want to bring to attention on the TSP is that if they choose not to contribute at all, they are still going to get a 1% contribution into the TSP with a 3-year vesting schedule. So it's in their advantage to take advantage of the TSP savings to some degree. The other point that I want to make is in the L fund, if they happen to be in 2 different L funds, we can only show in this report 1 fund. So we'll have to know which one you would like us to put those monies into. At age 57, this individual is going to have a rough estimate of $301,268. Moving along to the FEGLI, Federal Employee Group Life, this particular individual has $84,000 in the basic coverage, so that is the salary rounded to the next 1,000 plus 2,000. They have option A, 5 multiples of B, and 5 multiples of C, so we've got over $500,000 in the FEGLI life insurance. So $1,872 of premium, and this individual has probably just realized that their FEGLI is becoming expensive, just turning 50 not long ago. So you'll have an opportunity to talk to them about the increasing 5-year age bands on the options A, B, and C. You'll have an opportunity to talk to them about the accidental doubler for basic and A, and if they were between 35 and 45, you'd be carrying on the conversation with them about losing some benefits, because up to age 35, they had 2 times their salary in basic, and from 35 to 45, they started to lose 10% a year until they were back to their normal salary at age 46. We'll get into detail on the FEGLI later in the report. Joy, if we could go to the planned and delayed retirement page, which is 2 pages from here. Right here. This is the next stop in the report. We just really go down to the second half of the report there to reiterate the numbers. This page is very informative to them if they're saying, gosh, I don't know if I can afford to retire at age 57. I don't know if I'm going to have to wait till 60 or 62. This is going to give them a snapshot of what the delay or what the benefits to waiting are, so they can determine if it pays for them to wait or go. So at age 57, the monthly annuity with Survivor is going to be $1,946. The monthly Survivor annuity is going to be $1,081, and the cost is $216. So those numbers in that first column correlate with the summary page. And if you move out to age 60, you'll see that the monthly Survivor annuity went from $1,081 to $1,227. So it's a good page for those folks to estimate. If we've got somebody that's planning on retiring prior to meeting full retirement age, MRA, in this page they're going to see some negative numbers or some cost or penalty to take an early retirement. When we run the report for you, and if there is a penalty involved, we'll give you a little overview on the email back to the advisor so you know how to explain the penalty. Let's move along to the annuity and survivor benefit page. And I realize we're hitting this fast today, but you all have one-on-one scheduled calls with me where we can answer more details. Annuity and survivor benefit page. This is a recap of employment and what those payouts are going to look like. What's interesting in where I focus on this page is about halfway in the middle of the page, it says planned SBP at 67. So this individual, 10 years after retirement, will have accumulated a cost of $29,493, and 20 years out, they will have accumulated a cost to provide this benefit of $61,175. I'm spending a little time here because most federal employees didn't realize they were going to be losing part of their monthly annuity to provide a maybe benefit. And so here's where you may start to have the conversation regarding pension maximization strategies. And so I don't know if that strategy is going to work for this individual or not. So I have a conversation on this page that just simply says, Mr. Federal Employee, have you ever heard the words pension maximization strategies? Well, no, I haven't. Well, what pension maximization is, and I don't know if it's going to be a fit for you and your family, but here's a synopsis of how it works. We utilize a cash accumulating life insurance policy with a decreasing term rider, and I know that's complex right now, but we're building value similar to the monies that you're spending to provide this maybe benefit. And so at the end of the day, we're just trying to determine if it makes more sense for you funding the federal plan or the family plan. And what you'll see from an agent standpoint many times is at that 20-year out, there could be that kind of cash value in the life policy. So we're asking them, where do you want that value or that cost? Do you want it in the family plan or the federal plan? And I explained to them that there's a qualification process, that we're not sure if it makes sense for everybody, but is that something they'd be interested in learning more about? And we'll have to get some details to see if this is a fit for them or not. And every situation's different. If we're dealing with two federal employees that husband and wife could each take single coverage, the pension max works beautiful. Sometimes we might want to use a 25% survivor annuity and pick up the other 25% of that annuity opportunity in the pension max strategy and use a combination for them. We're just educating them that they have a lot more flexibility with the pension max strategy. If mom passes before dad, dad's got the policy, he's got the higher payout, he can have decisions. Do I minimize the policy? Do I start taking income out of the cash value? It's not affecting my lifestyle. I'm just going to maintain it and leave it to the kids. You've got a lot more choices. If dad passes first, the federal employee, well, mom can take that chunk of money in a lump sum tax-free, or she can turn on the income stream. For most of us, we're using GPM Life. The life company has designed a plan with the decreasing annual insurance rider in the UL that fits this niche very well. We'll be doing an individual training on that shortly. Let's go to the next page, please. This page is a page that I do not spend a ton of time on, but the analytical type people really love to have it so they can look at the numbers in a different format. Next page, please. Okay, and I can see with the computer glitch we had yesterday, the Social Security did not get entered incorrectly, but this is our next big page that we spend a lot of time on. The purpose of the conversation on the sample report today shows us a first supplement of $1,238. For purpose of conversation, we're going to assume that this report has $1,600 in the Social Security section at age 62. This is the page we talk about their retirement goals. Many federal employees haven't even thought about what retirement is going to look like to them. So the conversation goes like this. Mr. Federal Employee, most financial advisors across the country assume that you can live on 80% of your income as you move into retirement. I don't know if that's too much money, not enough money. I'm not sure at this point what retirement looks like to you and your wife. Are you planning to do a lot of extensive traveling that's going to require more money? Are you looking to be pretty conservative in the home space? What does it look like to you? And let them talk about what retirement looks like to you, to them, and let them tell you that they think 80% is a fair evaluation to their budget. Okay, we've agreed that 80% is a good starting point. Where are your retirement dollars going to come from? So if this particular individual was retiring on about was working, and they were making about $83,000, we would have to take $83,000 times 80%, which would get us $66,400. That would be our goal. Mr. and Mrs. Federal Employee, do you think it's a reasonable expectation that you could live on about $66,000? If they say yes, well, let's take a look at where your retirement dollars are going to come from. So in the beginning, they've got $1,870 coming off the FERS annuity, times 12 months, gives us $22,440. So that's going to come from the annuity, the retirement annuity. So we're going to say, okay, we're going to take $66,400 minus $22,440, gives us a shortfall of $43,960. The next area that we have as an income stream in retirement is going to be the FERS annuity, or the FERS supplement, and then over to Social Security. So for purpose of conversation, $1,600 of starting point Social Security, and we're going to times that by 12. It's going to give us another $19,200. So we'll take that off to $43,946. So I take $43,946 minus the $19,200, gives us a shortfall of $24,746. But we've still got access to creating some income stream off of the TSP. And so we have roughly $300,000 in the TSP. And so we have the conversation with them that most financial advisors across the country years ago used to say we could take 8 to 10% out of our retirement account each and every year, and that would give us a retirement. But with low interest environments and the way things have gone, we know that we've had to back those numbers down, and advisors across the country are talking in terms of 4 or 5%. Would it be okay, Mr. Federal Employee, if we utilize 4.5% withdrawal rate out of an income bucket? And they say yes. So 300, we can't use the full 300. We've got to logistically leave some money liquid. So if we take 250,000 times 4.5%, that would give us $11,250. So we still have a rough shortfall of about $13,000. So it's drawing the plan out and really painfully getting them to think about retirement. The other things that we think about with them is that they're not funding their TSP. Maybe they don't have an hour commute. They don't have to buy fancy dress clothes, so on and so forth. It's all going to depend. So if their shortfall is larger, we have to have the conversation with them about either working longer, increasing their contributions into some form of a perhaps Roth IRA or cash accumulating life insurance, or some sort of mechanism to get more cash accumulating, or we have to back down what retirement is going to look like. So it's probably the first time that they've really kind of thought about where is the retirement money coming from and what does retirement look like. Let's go to the TSP. I've got to pick it up here. TSP, this page is the overview with their money going in. and the total estimate based on conservative rates of return. Next page, please. The projected annual rates of return, if you've gone out to tsp.gov, pulled down the compound 10-year rates of return, you'll see that these rates of return are about 2 points under what is out there on the web on the 10-year. Next page, please. The summary page is the page that I like to show. It shows the annual salary increasing slightly, their contribution, government contribution increasing slightly, and where the funds are. Now, if you've got a federal employee in L funds and then in the individual funds, you're going to see that the CF, CI, and S funds, G funds, those contributions are spread out in the top half of the report, and the percentage that went into L funds is at the bottom. So if they're in an L income, obviously you're going to see a lot more funds in the G than if they were in an L 2050. So if we've got a lump, an income fund with an L 2020, it's going to be skewed a little bit, but like I said, the software allows us to put in one L fund. And let's jump to the Fegley Group Life, please. The current coverage and cost page. There we are. This is a nice page that shows they have $504,000 of current death benefit. They're paying $156 a month, $1,872 total. When they retire at age 57, they are going to be charged $426.40 a month. They will have spent, up until this point, over $20,000 providing a benefit that they may or may not use in the future. And at age, let's go to the next page here. And if you continue on the benefits and you don't show them reducing, those numbers become even more staggering. This is the page, the summary page, where I really point out that, hey, every 5 years and the year you retire, you're going to see some extreme increases in your insurance. And you're going to ask them, did you realize your insurance costs were going to escalate to this degree? Did you realize they were going to be this outrageous? And our whole goal is to create the pain and deliver some problem-solving strategies to them. So one of the things that I would say here is, gosh, these rates are out of sight. We want to talk about what their real insurance needs are going to be. They made these decisions when they signed up. They probably haven't evaluated their life insurance. And at this point, I'm asking them, do you feel you have too much, too little, or just the right amount of insurance? Where do you see your insurance needs going moving into retirement? If you're dealing with people that are starting outside businesses for the next chapter in their book, they might be underinsured. Maybe they've paid off the house, got the kids out of college. They don't have those liabilities anymore. Maybe they don't feel they need as much insurance. And maybe the spouse has got just as much into retirement assets as, you know, they have in TSP, and when we run all the numbers, they're going to have a very comfortable retirement. With the variables, we just have to do a lot of fact-finding and question asking and create pain and be able to stop the bleeding. At this point, I would explain to this federal employee, look, at age 50, you took a hit. Did you notice it? Your premiums are now $156 per month, and at age 55, they're going to go $259.57. That's over an extra $100 a month. Were you expecting increases like this? One of the things that I do with federal employees such as yourself is I try to put together programs to educate them, to show them ways they can stop this bleeding. Would that be something you would be interested in knowing more about? And so we're going to get with them and show them some term products or show them a combination of permanent insurance with term to meet their needs. The last page of the report is the health benefits section. And basically, we're not getting into a lot of benefits here. We just want to educate them that they are probably not thinking about this part of cost or expense in their retirement planning process. Most federal employees feel like they have committed to working for the federal government. They've paid into their TSP. They've had these benefits and everything their whole life. Federal employees basically want to be led down a path. They need to be told what to do, how to do it, and when to do it because they're used to taking orders. They also are used to dealing with OPM and HR departments over the telephone, over the internet. They're not used to a lot of hands-on, people-to-people across the table type of business. So if your federal employees are at a distance, it's okay to make the initial phone call, do the data collection call over the phone, and then go see them to present this report either in their home conference room or have them into your office. Wherever you're going to be meeting with these folks and going over this report in person, if you're going to their home, take 2 copies and hand them one and you keep one and encourage them to take notes on this as you're working down through and providing the education. So we're going to get through the last page of the report here. Our goal is just to show them that over the last 15, 20 years, it's not uncommon to have an 8% compound cost of insurance, and that this is going to be one of the costs they probably haven't thought about. So I don't spend a lot of time here other than letting them know there's going to be a lot of variances in their health care, especially today. You may get a federal employee that will say, well, should I keep my FEHB or should I go on Medicare? My response to that is, that's a really good question. And it's going to depend. It depends on their health. It depends where they want to travel. It depends on the money they have available to make these premiums. There's so many variables, there's just not a good answer. But we can redirect them back to the OPM website where they can start to learn and read and make some good decisions and provide them a tool. As you get through the report, the whole goal of this report was to create a need to get back with them after you've done your homework on several things. And so as I close with the presentation, and I realize we've gone fast and we've probably missed some details we'll address one-on-one, but you're getting the general idea. You're creating the pain. We're talking about sales opportunities. The first sales opportunity is the pension max strategy, perhaps. Maybe you've had the conversation and they're under age 49 or 50 and they're going to be working longer. The sales opportunity is to talk to them about protecting their paycheck, a disability sale. The second area, after you did data collection, you probably talked to them about long-term care if they were 50 or over. You asked a lot of qualifying questions. And what you asked them was, have you ever looked at the long-term care program through the government? What did you think? Do you own it? Why don't you own it? Would you consider a private sector plan? Why not? Alternate strategies. You work through all the long-term care things. Then you move along if they're over 59 and a half or they're close to 59 and a half. You're going to start educating them on the benefits of perhaps doing an in-service distribution and getting some income step-ups going with some of their TSP money. You might be talking to them about additional Roth IRAs because they're not putting enough money away. You might be talking about the new Colorado Banker product, kind of setting the tone. You know, there's some ideas I might want to put together here for you with the Colorado Bankers where if they take a reduction in their B or a reduction in their basic insurance in retirement, they may need to pick up a smaller portion, $50,000 to $100,000, to replace that loss, and you might be able to do a combo permanent life with Roth IRA to meet some of their needs. You might be sharing a 15, 20, 30-year term product to stop the bleeding on the B. You might be talking to them about kid policies with conversion rights. You might be talking to them about final expense settler life policies, funeral trusts. There are so many sales opportunities that come off of this report. So in closing on the report with the federal employee, I say something like this. Mr. and Mrs. Federal Employee, I've got to believe that you saw some benefit in going through the report today. Yeah, we sure did, Terry. Thanks for that. We had no idea about this or that. Great. Well, Mr. Federal Employee, there's a couple of things that are just really kind of glaring, and they're just sticking out at me. And it's the cost of your FEGLI is going to go through the roof. I think we need to look at alternative strategies for some tax planning. When I have time with all of you, I will share with you the goofy little way I talk to them at the TSP section about taxable retirement to tax-free retirement, and I tell a snowball story, and it leads to a Roth IRA sale almost all the time. So we will pick out 3 or 4 things that you think are really important in this particular situation. I found A, B, C, and D to be things that I think are worth doing a little homework on and getting back to you. Out of A, B, C, and D, Mr. Federal Employee, what seems to be the most important situation at hand right now for you? Oh, it's that high cost of B. You just noticed that really went up. If it's okay with you, would I be able to get some personal information? I'm going to have to ask you some medical questions and so on. I want to bring back the most accurate report to you. Would it be okay if we set a time for next week after I've done my homework and share these ideas with you? If it makes sense, I'm going to suggest we move forward on it. If it doesn't make sense, that's definitely up to you. But I think first and foremost, you have to know what your options are to make good decisions. And they will always let you do the homework if you've gotten this far, and pick the least difficult thing to get done for them so you can get that option B taken care of quickly. Meanwhile, you might be putting them through an underwriting process for a disability, and then you might be setting them up a Roth IRA, and then you might circle back to the Legal Shield and take care of that. So piece by piece, work down through this whole thing step by step, and after I've done my first piece of business, I always say, do you have anybody in your department that could benefit from a report such as this, like we've just done for you? And you will start to get the referrals. The other thing to remember is you're filling your channel full of prospects, and they may take this report today. They may have to think about it. Federal employees don't typically move as fast as private sector people, but once you get them in the process of, we're going to do this piece of business, then we're going to do this piece of business, who do you know that should be doing this, and keep the process moving, you always have a federal employee to see, and you're always writing a piece of business. So I know we went over today, but this is the heart of the sales process. We must get good at presenting the report, and I know that I've probably missed a few things, so when we're going through this on a one-on-one basis, we'll be spending definitely a full hour on this where you can take notes on a correct sample report, and then as you move through the process of Fast Start, we will actually be going through the first couple of your reports with you so you're comfortable in preparing the prospect. With that, I'm going to close this training session today. I want to thank all of you that are on the call for being on the call. Please request a rebroadcast of this and then set it into your GoDaddy folder and save it so that you can come back and re-listen to the rebroadcast anytime a question pops up regarding the reporting process. With that, I'm going to close today's session. Thank you.